Got you.
Yep. There we go. 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 And we are back again.
Fashionably late to our own party.
Fashionably late. 7:07. Is that an affirmation for anybody?
Wow. The numerology people. It's a lucky show.
I don't know. I hope so. Because we talking about today the COVIDs, the vaccines, the foolery, and just everything in and around it. Our particular thoughts, our particular takes. Because I mean, it's all speculation at this point. But
say that again. It's all what?
Speculation at this point.
It's all what?
Speculation at this point.
Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, we back with another episode of Eavesdrop with the Gilded Sages. Again, if you are just joining us today, we are here with Inquisitive Q and the bro Quan the poet.
Yo.
While we do that, let me post
the Black Anglo-Saxon like this. He don't know how to feel like he gotta introduce himself.
Oh,
you the rude host. He's the host that just brings you into the party like these are my other friends. Go join yourself. That's the rude.
I always thought that was the best way to do it, though, man. Everybody got to get their vibes from specific people. Don't let me be a buffer.
For a very sophisticated party. Those are called my birthday.
Hey, it is what it is. People, the way they talk, they seem like they are sophisticated. Let's see here.
Those are nice shoes.
And post those.
I know. Classics.
I'm ignoring that shit right there. People sophisticated. If people were as sophisticated as they claim, we wouldn't have to have this conversation about COVID, especially getting into the advertising of this shit. For Black people, like Black people are people, you can just talk to us.
Man.
You don't have to say, yeah, a Black woman helped do this. It's like we don't mistrust institutions because we naturally mistrust institutions. We mistrust institutions because y'all did some fucked up shit for centuries. It's like, yo, show us some paperwork.
Facts, though.
We don't want to hear your speech. You show me the paperwork. Give me the results. But I'm jumping ahead.
All right. So with that being said, hopefully everybody's watching. What we're going to do is we're going to get into the first article, which is from the New Yorker, and basically, just talks about the reservations that we have as African Americans, aka those, aka Black, as it pertains to this COVID-19 vaccine. And I'll just say, it's interesting that people are surprised, though, that people are reserved or afraid of this COVID-19 vaccine when they did all of the fear-mongering around Donald Trump, comparing them to Hitler and really exacerbating the fear that shouldn't have been there.
That's why the left.
Not only the left, the Democratic Party as a whole, in terms of how everybody kind of over-exaggerated the threat of Donald Trump, the nature of Donald Trump, and I know I'm not saying he's not racist, but he's definitely not Adolf Hitler in terms of how he can execute and his intentionalness in his disregard for a particular demographic. But with that being said, I think everybody, and it's sad that everybody has kind of already forgotten that this vaccine is technically a Donald Trump vaccine.
It is. He pushed for it hard.
Exactly.
Before election.
Wow, everybody was saying that this wasn't supposed to be the thing to do because everything was just counter Donald Trump.
I'm going to say this for a second. Donald Trump is going to be the worst president to be liked, but be the best president policy-wise for the people. I promise you. Because he was so inefficient that the machine couldn't operate the same way.
I agree. That'll be another discussion that we have one day because I agree in the sense that a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people hated Donald Trump, not because he was a racist, but because of that inefficiency that he caused to the establishment, to the mechanisms of how corporations move, because he was so blunt and so abrasive and so out for it, which means that he could never be that Hitler. Oh no, he should have learned that from Hitler like America did, but they didn't.
But I'm gonna end on this one. This is when I get to my negative two. Donald Trump is kind of funny, and it's not because they got the whole black male vote for Donald Trump. It's like with Hillary Clinton, they voted for their husbands. It's not that. What I was saying about Donald Trump is that he pushed the limits of the president, and because he was so inefficient and so arrogant, he also limited the powers of the president. All those court challenges, those are legal precedent now. So he kind of was one of the best things that could ever happen to America. A man with a bunch of power and attention that didn't know how to use it.
I wish people would have, responded to and understood that he was a manifestation of racism and not necessarily this anomaly, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, we got to, because he's like, talking about this is interesting, but we got to move on.
It is what it is. This is a Donald Trump vaccine. Everybody is trying to get black people to support it now, but as we know, everything Donald Trump prior to this was bad. Boogeyman. Ooh.
But didn't Joe just thank them? But anyway.
Again, we can go on all day. But here we are, the first article. This is from the New Yorker by Jelani Cobb. We are here December 19th, 2020. And so we're going to get down into it. I feel like I know this lady. What's her name? But anyway, it jumps down and it goes, inequalities abound in the narrative of this pandemic. Black people and Latinos have disproportionately lost their jobs in the COVID recession. I would change that to depression, but they are also more likely to perform the kinds of labor deemed essential, which accounts in part for the higher infection, hospitalization, and death rates found among these populations. For this and similar reasons, the fact that on Monday, Sandra Lindsay, a Black nurse who works at Long Island Jewish Hospital, became the first American to receive the Pfizer vaccine, and that it was administered to her doctor by Michelle Chester, a Black doctor with Northwell Health, was laden with significance. Just 42% of African Americans are willing to receive the vaccine, despite the fact that they are more likely than white Americans to be infected with and die from the virus.
Before we move on, I just wanted to highlight this point. Didn't a Black woman at Johns Hopkins just get let go because she was bringing up the racism inside of the hospital system?
Yeah.
Okay.
In that for a decade-long medical scheme, which began in 1932, nearly 400 African-American men with syphilis were led to believe that they were receiving treatment, but were in fact left untreated so that doctors chart the course of the disease. Yeah. In nearly 50 years since the experiment was exposed, it has become a central reference point to understanding Black Americans' relationship to the medical establishment. And again, Black Americans are African Americans, those who come from, because that term kind of gets confused, and I'm seeing people do that. And then as we move on, the story of Henrietta Lacks, a Black woman who died in 1951 of cervical cancer and whose cancerous cells has been harvested for research without her knowledge by Johns Hopkins Hospital, replicated, sent to labs around the world, and later sold commercially, because yes, they trademark, copyrighted, or they patented her DNA, which is, again, I saw an article also in regard to that where they are trademarking water on the NASDAQ.
The Bush has water rights. They had water rights when they came out of office.
It's a very interesting thing.
That's the Barack's whole.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing to see, people, patent and trademark and copyright, things that come from nature.
Yeah.
That history, though, chronicled in works such as Harriet Washington's Medical Apartheid. I'm reading that. thanks now to you, kind sir,
No
for
problem.
delivering that.
You know I love books.
Yeah, and Dorothy Roberts' Killing the Black Body is in part what hampered efforts to recruit African American volunteers for the trials and how hampers efforts to get African Americans and how it hampers and how no, and how now hampers efforts to get African Americans vaccinated. I'm sorry about that, beautiful people.
They can read, but they can't. You gotta work on that.
And so, with that being said, I thought it was very interesting when we saw the kind of initial marketing. I had an issue with it, I made a comment about it. Some people, were upset because they thought I was coming at Black women. No, I'm not coming at Black women. It was more so like, I don't necessarily want Black women to be the face on our front lines for a vaccine that was pushed and expedited by corporations who we have heard only from at this point. And I don't necessarily believe that we should take them for good faith, because as I said, we'll get into it later when the article came out where the Pfizer CEO said he wasn't taking it, but it's like,
You want to cut it from
yeah, we also saw videos arise where other videos with Black women and Black men, and then you had Mike Pence taking the vaccine. And
Pence took it?
Yeah.
Pence?
Allegedly.
I was about to say, this Pence, if he really took it, this nigga really
allegedly.
He is like Pence is a Kevlar vest as a VP.
Because also
Harris is like a Peter Pan child. She's really Peter Pan child. She has her own autonomy. She will not follow Joe on slide step. I promise you, she will. No.
She will. And what I'll say to that after we
front facing. Gotcha.
Yeah, front facing, and then so
I got you. I'm sorry.
From the vaccines with the Black women,
and Pence potentially took it.
Pence allegedly took it, and then again going into the fact that we had videos come out where actual news stations had to actually intervene that and speak about the fact that somebody took the vaccine with the plunger already dispensed. Yes, that's why I said let me finish. I'm gonna get there to you, because again, it's been wild out here in these streets.
You don't pay attention to it.
It's been wild. That's why it's been wild out here in these streets. The news station had to go back report, because again, the plunger was already down, and he tried to like lift it back up and then push it back down. But I say all that to say is that you have this push to market it through the lens of identity politics.
Gotcha.
And my biggest thing is also what we'll look at later is like they have the FDA, Federal Drug Administration, they have their document, which is like 54 pages, which I feel like is enough content to build a campaign around. I thought that it was interesting that they go through the identity politics, and then you also have Pfizer's CEO, as well as the FBI, no, not the FBI, the Pentagon also come out and say that their top officials aren't necessarily, their top officials are, but they're not going to make the whole organization take it. Which I just thought was very interesting, that you had people of color being pushed to take it under the guise that, like the article said, that we're more likely, we've been ravaged by the pandemic, allegedly, as it was reported by news.
Mm-hmm.
But we also haven't been prioritized for the economic piece, because you had the Pfizer CEO, which we'll get into again later, saying that he's not going to take it because he don't want to cut in line. But y'all cut in line for that CARES Act, though.
This is why I don't pay attention to it, because it's rhetoric. And it's like, once you begin to understand the rhetoric of the United States, and what I mean by the United States, I mean the economic engine of the United States and how diverse our economic engine really is. That shit is just funny at this point. once you begin to understand the economic diversity of the United States, you also begin to understand the marketing of the United States. Right now, we have Protect Black Women. You know, I say it again, the third white paper. It's coming, people. The third white people, America's nurse. We see a history of ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. I use that more not as an identity, but as a timeline, which is one and the same. But to say that it's a long history of Black women being asked to take risks that no one else want to take, Black men included. Because you could have had Ben Carson take the shot first if we really want to have a Black person take the shot first. We can't have Ben Carson. He's been up there for how long? I'm saying the right name, aren't I? Or is it Dr. Ben Carson?
Gifted hands.
I was about to say, so he could have took the shot first. We have the leader of the Hoover Institute, Condoleezza Rice. She came out and said that being a high-ranking official. Here's what I'm getting to. I'm getting to is that Black American women get status for the risk that they take and how much they overexert themselves, but not status for being women and human beings. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense.
Okay, because what I'm trying to say is that with this, we see Black American women be treated as a symbol of how they can help comfort America and console America into going to a post-COVID environment. And to your point, which is, before I get to your point, Black American women being used to the emotional labor of consoling America is the performance between Maya Angelou and Richard Pryor. But to your point about the economic portion of it, and why I'm writing America's Nurse is that Black American women also are some of the most economically overeducated people within the workforce, and they had to be a part of the workforce, and which I want to talk about since long before 1899 with the Philadelphia Negro. Black women are not allowed or not a part of the economic engine because that would have to change the direction and focus of these institutions. And so right now, corporate America is having to put on the performance of we care for Black Americans, and we care that we have delivered a vaccination that will help everyone, including those who are most likely to catch COVID because they are essential workers in the retail sector, which is overwhelmingly Black and brown, but we're not going to talk about the economic history of exclusion and disenfranchisement that places this population at exposure. Because one thing about COVID, it didn't have any biases, it didn't have any races. It wasn't racist, it wasn't sexist. So if we get rid of COVID, we can go back to being racist, we can go back to being sexist. Because now you're no longer a threat to me because you don't have COVID anymore. We can go back to treating you like a Black woman.
Pretty much.
Or really how we should say in America, a darkie. It matters. Being dark versus light matters.
So let me ask you this, Quan. What you think about the vaccine? Like your personal, because again, I think a lot of people, for me, it's about, I need to see information. And this is my thing. I don't necessarily have an issue with Black people being used because again, I know that they also took part in the trials. And so it's if you're using the information or you're using people from the trial to speak to their experience, then that's one thing, right? But to have people just taking it as the first shot, just asinine to be yo, oh yeah, these people are taking it first. This means that it's safe for y'all to take versus you having people who participated within the experimental trials that are a part of the data to come out and say, well, I took it, this happened. Whether you lie on that, because that's a whole nother conversation. But at least have those people come out and do the talking, not just some new random people that this is the first batch of vaccines that they just shipped out. So it's like, it is what it is. And I'm sorry, what's your take?
I mean, for me, vaccines, I just would have loved to have more information. Usually when these things come out, they're like longitudinal studies in terms of just the information of, okay, we've had this vaccine, we've had people that we studied over a period of time that we know can give, like, okay, I've taken it, this is year 1, year 2, what are my feelings, what are my symptoms, these, like, there's nothing, there's, okay, we got this, boom, here you go. Like, they're treating this vaccines like the PS5s, like, everybody knows the first couple always had the malfunctions and all of that stuff, so it's like, nah, who wants to be first?
I like
Nobody
that.
wants to be first.
I didn't think of it as they treated like the PS5s. But to your point, I'm hearing that you have to have empirical evidence or research that's tested versus you showing me just another blackface.
Yeah.
I'll say that on the latter part, because America doesn't have a great relationship with black people, they think that, and you know who hit this best? Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler understood that most of America just doesn't think that black people are different. And so he used that as an ongoing joke in one of his films. It was perfect. But to the point is like, people just think that when a black person sees another black person, we go, yay, black person. It's like, hell no. It's like, black person. You mean another person? I don't know them. They're not from my family, and I'm from a black family. It's like every other family. You can't trust everybody just because they black. You gotta ask questions, and I say that to say is that America doesn't know how to market to us. They think that, oh my God, I'm gonna show you a black person, you're gonna automatically trust them. It's like, no.
I would say politically market, because they definitely know.
I would say across all of it.
You think?
I know America doesn't know how to market to black people.
Well, that's a different discussion, because we definitely will get off track talking about
America does not know how to market to black people because Americans really think that black people are the same.
I think that's why blackness and POC-ness works.
Yes, but too many black people, quote unquote, ADOS, try to fit into that little bubble. And that's why I like about the third season of Dead White People. But yes, we can get derailed.
And let's not get derailed.
If you all would like to see that video, please like, comment, and share so that we can have videos like this because they help guide us in the direction in which we can have these discussions.
That you want to actually hear. Because again, more so than about us just kind of talking, is I actually want to have people rebuttal what I say, or no, I don't want people to agree.
I want to say like lies. I want to fight. I want to be on camera fighting like, I'm not smart. I'm just a kid that likes to read so that we can talk shit. Like, that's it. That's all I want to do. Because I want to bring it down to that level. It's like, nah, we Phil and Lil, we Tommy, and we Chucky. We all trying to figure this out, but I need you to at least communicate.
Because leadership sucks in America right now, man.
Because people are not trying to, people comply with authority. And it's like, what you don't understand is that we don't compete against each other as much as we compete against time. So when I say the prisoner's dilemma, it's like time is the only oppressor I acknowledge, right? You don't have the power to create me, so you don't have the power to destroy me. I only transmute. I'm also energy. So with that said, that was Bob. But with that said, though, because I feel that way and I move in that light, that means that I don't have the power to destroy you because I don't have the power to create you. I don't have the power to destroy you because I don't have the power to create you. No matter how beautiful and large my telescope towards the universe, you all are radio satellites. I may not see how life is through your eyes, but if I listen to you, I get a perspective of how life is in your world. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if we can do all of this and we can bring all this shit together, I get many perspectives without having to live the time so I can be lazier. It's like, oh, so that happens in life? I'm not gonna do that shit. That happens in life? I'm not gonna do that shit. And you know I'm not lying because I do this off camera.
Well, let's go.
Oh, all right.
But you do that off camera.
I do.
He's literally verbose.
Yes.
Hold on, Pfizer. Boom. All right, and now again, like we were talking about earlier, the CEO of Pfizer, hasn't gotten the COVID vaccine yet. This came across me as well. Saying don't want to cut the line. As we talked about, these stimuluses came out. These stimmies are looking weak. Nancy Pelosi out there.
You talking about stimulus packages?
Yeah, they talking about 600 bang bangs.
But you see the Democratic representative in California said it was disaster relief. I agree.
I agree too. But
It was
guess
on
what?
CNN.
But guess
With
what?
Don Lemon.
But guess what? You know who Don Lemon is? Don Lemon is Super Saver.
Well, he's a corporate.
Exactly. So I ain't about to be talking about nothing when you talking to the wrong people. Because
you a super political. You a Beltway Paris. It's like you know what he was doing when you took that interview. You wasn't really doing nothing. So you ain't trying about no initiatives. You know Maverick. You gets no attention.
we know what time it is. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla said he hasn't received his company's COVID-19 vaccine shot yet, telling CNBC that he and other executives will not cut the line. Executives ain't cutting the line now. They not out here just pulling the trigger on motherfuckers no more. Can you hear me?
But sometimes you should lead from the front, but that's okay. I'm sorry.
We know when they did leave from the front when these motherfucking money hit
It's like me first.
Shooting niggas on the stage. Look, the LA Lakers came out talking about, so we gonna give it back. We gonna give it back.
Everybody became a small business.
Oh my God.
Everybody. All right. Let's be serious now. The vaccine, which Pfizer developed in partnership with Germany. Oh shit, y'all done compared Trump to Hitler, and this vaccine was made in Germany.
Hey, we can't do that, man. I love Merkel.
Hey, I'm just saying, America did it. American politicians tried to make Trump into the next Adolf Hitler, and he wasn't. That's their fault. It's coming back to bite him in the ass.
You right.
And because you know me, they should not have did that. Though I disagree with Trump, the disingenuousness and the threat of Trump, I did not appreciate it. I did not agree with it from the whole time. And this is what happens when you whip people up into a frenzy.
That's a lie.
Wrongly. People are still scared. They scared. They think that Trump was some real smart genius. Bullet's comments come as the first deliveries of doses are set to arrive at more than 100 of the country's 636 predetermined distribution sites. Pfizer CEO said Monday, he said that the vaccine which Pfizer developed in partnership, said that the Food and Drug Administration on Friday authorized the vaccine for use in people 16 and older. And here in DC, they just passed a bill where, people, unfortunately, kids can go ahead and consent without the adults, which is very, very tragic and very unnerving.
Because they want to open this economy. They want to get your ass out the house.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a separate episode because I know people having a frenzy about that. And the Center for Disease Control and Prevention on Sunday officially recommended its use. However, there are limited doses available, and as such, the CDC has recommended states prioritize healthcare workers and long-term kids for initial distribution. While Broder's company developed the vaccine, he is not a frontline healthcare worker himself. He said he's also 59 and in relatively good health. So it's not entirely appropriate for him to receive the vaccine before other people who need it more. If he was vaccinated on camera, he said it might help increase the public's willingness to receive it, citing Pfizer's internal research. But he emphasized that none of the executive and board members will cut the line. I just want to stop there for a second because he said, one, I want everybody to know that's watching right now to understand that when you're talking about CEOs and you're talking about executives, these people, though they are not low-level employees, politicians, or frontline essential employees, quote unquote, these people interact and engage with tons of people. As a political surrogate, as a executive, as a member of the executive office, you have to talk to people. Your job is more so not about the daily interactions of government and not about the one-on-one implementation of the vision of the executive office of government or a corporation, but you are specifically charged with engaging people, moving people, inspiring people, and being innovative in terms of how you deliver your rhetorical speech and the what's on paper of an organization and making people feel it. That's your job as a CEO. That's your job. That's your job. I want you to understand that as a director, as a government official, as the elected, as whether you talk about a mayor, a senator, a House representatives, these are executives of government, and they all move the same. So what I will say to that, before I go ahead and let you jump in, is that he's disingenuous in that he says he's not a frontline worker, but you are a frontline worker. Okay. You are a frontline worker. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, that's why I said he's savvy.
He's very savvy. He's savvy. I caught that.
He media trained, and I was agreeing with what you were saying because I was doing the nonverbal with it. He's very savvy, and what he was saying, and I totally agree with everything you said about how they are front line in the sense that no, you're in contact with people as much as I am. But the only difference is that the people you're in contact with are not the people I'm in contact with. You're not in contact with the general public who much sense, logically speaking, for you to take the vaccination as it does for someone who is a retail worker to take the vaccination. The difference is that, and then that's why I made the lead from the front joke. It's like you're not willing to go into battle. It's like at this point in time, we're seeing in America what kind of leadership we have, the character of the leadership we have. But I'll put it that way.
But black women can say.
But that's black women. That's the identity politics. That's the Democratic Party. That's the Democratic Party that has no ideas, but a bunch of. How about this? When I think about the Democratic Party, they have no base. The Democratic Party has no base. The Democratic Party is all about it. How about? Excuse me, because I'm especially doing this for the recording. The Democratic Party, once it no longer became the party of the Dixiecrats, lost its ideological base. Because the Democratic Party was more about offsetting how America was going to make money versus being a class that represented people who needed money. Does that make any sense?
Say it one more time.
What I'm saying is that the Democratic Party was to offset the economic engine, or to be plan B for the economic engine, instead of changing and reforming the economic engine, meaning that they were never supposed to be for people who do not have money. They were always supposed to be for how America will continue to make money. That's what the Democratic Party was for. That's the opulence of the minority. So when you think about it that way, and you remove the framework of identity politics, and you remove this idea of them being benevolent guardians, and you understand that the Senate is the Senate, Rome is Rome, we here. Once you grasp that, once you understand that, you look towards your representation to really look out for your interests. And with the CEO of Pfizer saying, well, we're not going to jump the line, it looks great. It sounds great. But sometimes we need you to lead from the front. Mm-hmm. Sometimes before we go into battle, like, no, you're the general, you came up with this plan, we want you to show us how it's done.
And I mean, especially when y'all cut the line every other single time.
But you got to draw that out because it's an undertone.
Go ahead.
All I'm saying for you, this is how I would phrase it this way, right? What I hear is, because this is funny, it's a joke. It's so satirical, but the economic portion of the CARE Act, in which people jump the line economically, and it's vaccination, in which people are willing to go like, we'll wait. It makes me laugh because, again, that's what I'm hearing. That's how I'm hearing it. It makes me laugh because it shows the duplicity and the mendacity of saying, I am your leader, you should trust me, but I want you to take risks that I won't take. But this is, again, where we need to get to the point where we need to listen to blue-collar white men. Listen to blue-collar white men, and when we see that rise in white men committing suicide, if these are the people who have the privilege, why are they killing themselves? That's why identity politics, to me, ruins the imagination and thwarts people's perspectives. Because if they have the money, then why are they killing themselves? That means the money ain't for everybody, and everybody ain't getting that bag. So what I mean by that is like when we look at these CEOs, it's like which people are jumping in front for the money and which people are going like, oh no, I'll wait when it comes down to that health risk.
I wouldn't necessarily say that is for me not necessarily about not getting the bag, but how you get the bag. Because even when you have the bag, as a lot of people will say, where I agree in the sense that a lot of people strive to these ideals that are particularly locked into and perceived through whiteness, you have to understand the methodology in which you have to get the bag. So a lot of the times, even when you do have the bag, people are like, why he crazy? Or why you this? Because you're rich. It's because on that other hand, you have to understand and acknowledge that the way that you get your money and the way that you're going to maintain your money is built around in a very exploitative system. And I don't think a lot of people give weight to that.
I'm listening.
And are willing to acknowledge that and will take only the good components of the money or the bag to say. So it's like, on one hand, yeah, I understand people will complain and cry about capitalism and all of these type of different things. And, you know, capitalism is exploitative, is bad, is this and that. But at the same time, you want that lifestyle. You aspire to that lifestyle and you aspire to it in a system that is built and mechanized in a particular way in which you have to move in and about it a certain way. And we're talking about people who are willing to move in the direction and not necessarily in opposition.
When you say the people, I'm glad you gave that pause. You talking about like the Pfizer CEO, just to ground it.
In terms of what?
In terms of getting the bag, but not necessarily articulating how they get the bag and the methodology that they're using to get the bag. So you're speaking in general that people are aspiring to lifestyles that they don't understand the day-to-day work of.
So it's both. You have people who will again say the game should be sold and not told. And so what I do too, because you're complicit. You're complicit.
Then they make you a sellout when you're like, I'm not telling you how I know what I know. Okay.
And so on one hand, it is the corporations and the CEOs who don't necessarily divulge, but then you also have the middle level men who are willing to play the game, but act as a buffer because they also will not expose what happens in that middle gap where it's like, you have the people who are like, do I really want to matriculate that high? Because now I see what you actually have to do. But then they also don't tell the people beneath them and lower. They're like, no, what you're aspiring to be a billionaire, trillionaire, you got to do some fucked up shit, Slim. You and this God talk ain't gonna work. Why you doing what you doing if you really want what you want in this current system? I'm not saying it can be done different. It can't be done in a different way, but in this current system, if you are not challenging in opposing the current methodology, you are therefore participating in it, which means that no, you just with it. You just trying to spin it in a different way where it's kind of fluffier.
But that's corporations. I mean, what I mean by that is that that's corporations. Is what I don't like about identity politics is that I'm not even gonna get on that soapbox. What I'm going to do is talk about what I do like. Your face is so funny. What I do like, hip hop, right? Let's say hip hop. Hip hop wasn't just black people. It wasn't just rappers. Hip hop was poor brown kids, poor white kids, poor black kids. Hip hop came out the same time in the 80s. We had punk, where people were politically conscious and they understood what was going on. What happens is that people assess money in these lifestyles, right? They take this very French fanon, wretched of the earth way of looking at things. You're rich because you're white because you're rich, and they limit it to that. But we don't talk about, when we talk about the colonization of the world, how Western European countries use the elites of different groups to be that buffer. And that's when you get what Franz Fanon calls the colonized intellectual, to get back to what we're talking about now. This identity politics of saying, well, this black woman nurse took this, so you should take this. This black doctor defined this, so you should take this. It's like, look here, I'm a black person. I'm here to tell you, black people don't trust black people. Why? Because black people are humans. And humans don't trust other humans. If you don't believe me, go to any kindergarten.
And not only that, they appeal to whiteness in a lot of different
Exactly.
ways.
And so what I'm getting down to is that we have to get to a point, when I say we, I'm thinking about the American psyche, of understanding what Dr. Kenneth Clark talks about, the moral schizophrenia. If our economic system is based upon exploitation, but no one wants to be exploited, that means that you have to exploit someone else. That means that you have to be smarter and more aware that there's something on the other side of the door. Instead of you going on the other side of the door, you send someone else in first. Chris Hedges talks about this all the time when he talks about being inside of these war zones where he instinctively moved behind someone else so they didn't get shot, so that he didn't get shot. And what I don't like about America and the pop culture, it's always fluffy. It's always happy. When you read literature, and this is why, again, I say always say this to America, when you read literature, literature will show you that you as a person also is capable of darkness. You as a person are also capable of being a person you hate. So if you're capable of being that person, and if you're capable of being that, then you're not morally superior. And right now, everyone wants to be morally superior to everyone else. That's why we can't have honest conversations about, I don't care if a black person developed this. I don't care if a black person took this shot. How is this vaccination going to help me after COVID? Because we still have the eviction crisis.
Yes.
We still have people lost jobs, and we need to be honest and say these jobs aren't coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming back because people pivoted during COVID and they found ways to survive. Businesses have pivoted during COVID. They found a way to survive, and they may not bring on the same staff they had before because they don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because they don't need it. Because technology, again, we talked about here already. Check out our catalog. Again, if you're watching now, you can like the video, share the video, leave some comments. So our good brother here, Kwanapur, can read them all because we love the dialogue around those as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very unnerving when you really sit and you look at the reality. A lot of people think 2021 is going to be better. And I put it out earlier, it's like, yeah, individually, people can make their own strides, but as a whole, we are going to have to hunker down as a people. But as we move into the next, well, it's not an article, it's a document. Let me cut you off. And then I'm gonna just go back to the top for a second. So everybody can see this is vaccines and related biological products advisory committee meeting. This is FDA briefing document. And, I'm gonna just go ahead and let y'all see some of the parts that I highlighted. This is like the phase, the follow up, just for everybody watching. Continuation of clinical trials following issuance. Topics, a discussion, Moderna, COVID-19. That was in parentheses. I don't necessarily know what that is. Vaccine composition, the dosing regimen, is a white to off-white sterile preservative, freeze frozen suspension, intramuscular injection. The vaccine contains a synthetic messenger. Again, I don't this scientific language, and I'm gonna just go through it.
It made sense to me though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through it with honestly and say that when we get down to the part that I highlighted, because I think it's important.
Only reason I said it made sense to me is that because I understood vaccines. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. But a person has to understand that to be able to dissect this. And so what we see down below is, the safety net definitions in randomized set. All participants who are randomized regardless of the participant's treatment status in the study, the safety set, the population, all randomized participants who received at least one dose of investigational product. The safety set was used for all analysis of safety except solicited adverse reactions. Participants were included in the treatment group corresponding to the investigational product they received. And then I'm gonna just go ahead and skip down a little bit because I'm gonna make it make sense. None of this. Table 4, the efficacy analysis population study disposition. Yeah. You got the vaccine group, the placebo group, and then the total, and then it's a bunch of numbers. And if you can.
I can see it.
Yeah, okay. Do you know, because you said you know better, do you know what any of this specifically right here?
Yeah, what they're telling you is their methodology of how they came up with the numbers.
I get the methodology part, as I understand because we use the same type of system, but in terms of what it says, and what I'll do is I'll come off of here for a second, because what I want people to understand is what I would love to see as a solution or as a tactic in getting people to take the vaccine, which I feel will be in a more honest way, is using a document like this or a series of documents like this, along with the people who have, went through the trial process, as we saw the definitions. That's one part that I could come away with and understand, because again, it's a similar methodology, but when you get down to the numbers and the technical language and things of that, we see electeds, we see corporations come out with these nice 2-minute, 3-minute videos, literature here, literature there. Let's do it that way, in terms of help me understand what MR 903 3005 VA 2020 is.
Okay, so if I can get this, if I understand what you're saying, instead of giving me this performance of we care about Black people, how about let's release this vaccination as if it was an iPhone that Steve Jobs was dropping in? Show me the different features, show me how it works, show me where it didn't work, show me where it didn't work, how it worked, but I wanted it to be tested. I wanted it to be verified and tested, not because it was tested on Black people, but because it was tested on people. Instead of saying, well, trust these Black people. So if I'm getting you correctly, you're saying, don't try to convince me to take a vaccination because some Black people think it's cool. Convince me through the evidence.
Yes.
Okay.
As our motto is here in general, show me the evidence.
Gotcha.
Show me the documents. Show me the reports. I don't really care other black people take because other black people will be on some BS.
Okay, I got you.
But here's the thing that I let me interject real quick.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I would love for that to happen. But again, one of the other things we talk about, narrative. You have a Pfizer who wants that narrative, that US American narrative of we came in and we saved the day. And if we go about it showing all this information and having people to actually represent, now it comes off of Pfizer and now it comes more towards these people. When it's like, no, my company, Pfizer, saved the day. We eliminated COVID. We want that. Like, I believe this is a narrative play. And that's the reason why we don't have that information breakdown that we should have, all of the data that we should have, because people want to have the narrative of we solved this.
I agree. And to answer your point, or to answer your question, it's because people are not sophisticated consumers of products. What I mean by that is there's an assumption that most black people just need someone they like before they're willing to adopt a behavior. There's not we have some people who actually want to do the research. And that comes back to what we talk about all the time here is what do you pay your attention to? How do you diversify your celebrity? How do you diversify who you deem an authority figure in your life that you're willing to listen to and who you're receptive to? Me personally, because I get attacked all the time, I know most people, the numbers and everything else, I know most people wouldn't like that. Because what that shows you is that these are three groups. There's no definitive answer anyone can give you. And if we're honest in America, or we're honest about ourselves, you can't look to your doctor and go, well, I'm gonna sue you because, well, a doctor is human just like you're human. They cannot go into the future and give you any level of certainty. They can only give you the statistical possibility and probability. And that's what that gives you. It gives you the statistical part of that. I got you. It gives you the statistical probability of this vaccination being effective compared to the various different groups. That's why you have the placebo group that's a control. Mm-hmm. You have a control. We know that these people did not receive this. We also know that there's a placebo effect in a psychological mind of people. You tell them that something is better. It's like Space Jam. When MJ told them that the water was special and they performed better. Mm-hmm. And they was like, oh my God, it's like, what? It's just, and MJ was like, it's just water. The placebo effect is real. Yeah. So what scientists do is like, let's see how much this is the placebo effect and how much this is actually the vaccination. And what people have to understand is that the environment is constantly interacting with you. This vaccination can work, but it's a virus. Virus also live. The same tenacity to which you want to live, everything wants to live. Everything that lives decides to live because it decides to survive. So it may help with this, but it may not help with another variation of what it may happen. And that doesn't comfort you. It shouldn't comfort you. You should never be too comfortable about living because life is about surviving. If people want the literature, the academic literature that you just showed with the statistical analysts to be the reason why they take the vaccination, they have to be sophisticated consumer of the products. And I don't want people to go, oh my God, you're so bougie. You're being so uppity right now. I was like, yo, how many women can tell me, and I don't mean just black, I mean women, can tell me the difference between hair grades? How many people can... different between hair grades is about what you consume. How many can tell me about eyelash glue and different eyelash glues? How many can tell me about foundation? Oh my God, you're so sexy.
And men the same way.
Sports. Oh yeah, I got you. Sports. Because everyone comes to me, I gotta be my asshole right now. Like, oh my God, baby, you're so sexist. You're a hotel. It's like, okay, let's go to men. How many men can tell me about their favorite alcohol? They can tell me about their favorite athlete. I don't go to the athletes because people get mad at me. It's like, no, there's a lot of homoeroticism inside of that. Because some dudes defend athletes as if that was their dude. But that's a whole nother thing. How many of you can tell me what cologne you like and you don't like? Let thy food be thy medicine. And when you actually take a medicine, at least know what's in it or try to understand why it's there. You need to be vaccinated because what a vaccination does when it says it's a synthetic messenger is basically saying a dead version of the virus. So the body can begin to encode antibodies like, oh, we know what this is. Get that in. That's what the body needs. But if the body gets it all at once and it's a live virus, it can overwhelm the immune system. Like I said, going back to that point, if you want the data, you have to practice reading data in your day-to-day life. There's a difference in different neighborhoods. Literally. In some places, all they want is the data. All they want is the white paper. Don't tell me about your perspective. I don't care. Give me your interpretation of the facts. But the problem too often, and again, I don't make it racial. With America, is like, tell me the person. I want the person that I like to tell me the message. I don't want you to tell me. I want the person I like to tell me. I don't care if you're right. I want the person I like to tell me. Don't let Viola Davis tell me that something about Black America is important. I want Cardi B. I want Lizzo to tell me that special. Not Viola Davis. I want Lizzo to tell me special. And I may be facetious, and I am, but I'm dead ass serious. That's why people don't get that. Because they don't want the data. They want the performance. That's when you get nasty performance going, Kente Club will give you $600.
Or ripping up Trump's speech and then actually funding the bill. There you go. I wonder if it was a blank sheet of paper. But I don't see any call-ins. This is also holiday season. Shout out to everybody who've been putting on events. That's always awesome. Definitely much love and prayers for all of the people who are going through it. Because as we talk about COVID has done a lot of disruption. So with that being said, I just want to thank everybody for watching. And if you're still watching with us to the end, if you can, just share the video, like the video, leave a comment, leave a video topic suggestion. Those help, especially if we're talking about stuff that y'all actually want to hear about, which is better. So thank y'all. Enjoy, and thank all of my co-hosts, Quan. We appreciate you as well. And y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. And enjoy Christmas too, because that will be on Friday this year.
Yes. And Kwanzaa, and those who enjoy Hanukkah, I hope y'all enjoy. I want to get invited to Hanukkah one year.
I didn't know they spelled it with a CH. Well, what's his name got in trouble for that? Smokey Robinson.
I thought it was a K.
But sometimes it gets pronounced or spelled with a C.